So, I used to work for a company called Beat Bullying. I was a volunteer, and I thought I'd make a quick video about it. You see, Beat Bullying was an international charity that was aiming to empower young people and to lead anti-bullying campaigns in schools and local communities. Beat Bullying devised bullying prevention strategies for young people, which were made by young people. Apparently it did alright, because in schools where Beat Bullying had worked, bullying was reduced by an average of 39%. When did it all start? Well, it became a registered charity in 2002, and in 2009 it launched its website, which was an online peer mentoring service for 11 to 18 year olds, delivered via a social networking site. Basically, for those that never got to see it, you'll have seen internet relay chat, where you have rooms and people can talk. It was a little bit like that, but a more policed, monitored and recorded version. When I was volunteering, I'd go on my computer, I'd go to their website, I'd use my login and password, and I'd log in. And I'd find myself in a room. And in this room there'd be three types of people. There would be the mentors like me, the actual young people, and counsellors. Now, essentially as a mentor, what you did was talk to these kids that needed to talk. Some of it in the channel would be like, hey, how's the weather? You know, basic stuff. But they could come to you and private message you and tell you their problems. So you'd have a kid private message you, and sometimes it'd just be, you know, I feel a bit low, talk to me. You'd talk to them. Sometimes they'd tell you a problem and you'd offer a well thought out adult suggestion, like, have you talked to your parents? Have you talked to your teacher or head of year at school? And sometimes really it was just being a ear for them to talk to. They would tell you their problem, and just by getting it off their chest they'd feel better. They'll have sort of worked through it in their own head by communicating it to you. And I think it did a lot of good, because it gave those that didn't feel they'd got anybody to talk to somebody to talk to. Obviously people probably remember it being on TV. They ran a regular media campaign, a thing called the Big March, which was a digital demonstration where the public was invited to sign up, create their own avatar and march across websites for the rights of children and young people. And all sorts of celebrities got involved, like Little Mix and Jamie Lang from Made in Chelsea. Okay, I'm using the term celebrity quite loosely here, but clearly people that, if I didn't care much about, young people would. They had a campaign that was run in conjunction with the now dead British tabloid newspaper News of the World, and they also worked with the government and various industry groups and task forces, and they won absolute boatloads of awards. Far too many for me to even mention. While it lasted, it was a good thing, I think. And I'm not going to say it wasn't harrowing, because I would have instances where kids would message me and tell me that they were holding a knife or glass to their wrists. Now, the way it worked in these circumstances were you kept talking to them, but as mentors were only qualified so far, you know, we're not proper counsellors, we didn't have doctorates in therapy or anything. I mean, I didn't feel too bad with giving people advice, because I had a degree in social sciences which included psychology. But ultimately, when things got more serious, you had to hand it off. And, you know, often you'd log off and you'd be thinking and worrying about that person. So there was a dark side to it, but, you know, you knew you were there, you were helping people. You'd have people come on, they'd tell you how bad things were, you'd give them some helpful suggestions, they'd come back on another day and go, you know, thank you so much, man, you really helped me. I did what you said and it's worked out like this. when the charity died, it was just so weird and surreal being a mentor. I went and I logged on, or tried to log on, and it just didn't work. So obviously you think, oh well, there's something wrong. I mean, you had to be a mentor for so many hours a week, you signed an agreement to that, but there was no firm rota. I could go on a Monday and be a mentor for 4 hours, or I could go and be a mentor for 15 minutes, and go on another day and do some, or there was like no limit. You could be on as much as you wanted, but you do it as and when it fitted into your life. So I just thought, it's Dan, I'll make a coffee, I'll read through my email, read the news, and I'll try again. So I tried again. And there was nothing sent to us, nothing said, but it turned out we found out the same way everybody else found out. It became in the news that basically the company had gone bankrupt and they'd gone into administration. They had a reserve policy where they were supposed to keep so much money in a pot to the side for any time where they didn't get a grant they'd applied for, and they'd basically broken their own reserve policy. So they went for a grant with the government, scored a couple of % too low, were in the process of challenging this and having it reassessed, but had absolutely nothing in their reserve pot to cover the amount of time this would take. There was an offer put on the table by somebody, I don't know who, to buy the company, and they'd have bought the whole thing and they'd have continued the charity's online service, they'd have retained the same staff and volunteers, but they wanted the founder to resign and basically sign a clause that she would refrain from competition. She wouldn't obviously go into doing this kind of thing again for the foreseeable future. Well, basically, and I suppose I have to be careful here, this is where I think the founder was a complete asshole, because she wouldn't sign this and let the charity die. And then apparently 1 week after Beat Bullion had gone into liquidation, she set up a company called Digital Impacts, which I can't find anything on. It doesn't sound like it's a charity at all. It sounds like it's some kind of normal business. Apparently 1 million was owed to Beat Bullion's creditors, and the Charity Commission was alerted to the fact that Beat Bullion was going down the crapper and had done nothing about it. Apparently people had whistleblown on Beat Bullion and warned of mismanagement and warned that the charity was breaching employment contracts, not operating proper financial controls, and that it had been failing to pay its pension contributions. But nothing really happened with all of that. So I got to see the whole thing fall apart in the news, never once contacted by him, even when it had completely gone down the toilet. And I got to see all sorts of things pop up on Twitter, such as young people saying how they didn't know how they were going to cope without Beat Bullion, and that they might stave their own heads in and stuff. So, not a very good thing, really. I don't regret a single moment of working for the charity, though, because it actually did make me feel great to feel like I was helping people with problems and that I was making a positive impact on the world. I'd come to this straight out of pub work, where I felt like I was giving alcoholics booze and making the world a worse place. So I think not only did this help other people, but it did a lot for me. I just wanted to do this because for once I wanted people to know what it was like for those that saw it fall apart from the inside. Because it's one of those things that it just seemed to disappear overnight. There was a couple of news articles and a bit of shock for a week, but then it was soon lost. Okay, that's Kerr9000 signing off. Keep on keeping on.